Ever wondered why that 1,000 rupee note feels like a big deal, but spending the same amount on credit doesn't even make you blink? The mysterious workings of the human mind, especially when it comes to money. Let's dive into the fascinating world of mental accounting. Mental accounting, a concept introduced by economist Richard Thaler, explains how we perceive the value of money differently, depending on the context in which we receive or spend it. Let's illustrate this with a fun story. Imagine you found a 1,000 rupee note on the street. Chances are, you'd feel like you've won a mini lottery and might be tempted to spend it on something frivolous, like an oversized, overpriced coffee mug that you don't need. But would you spend 1,000 rupees from your hard-earned salary on the same mug? Probably not. This is mental accounting at work. We often place different values on the same amount of money depending on its source. But it's not just about how we get money. It's also about how we spend it. Consider this. You go out for dinner and the bill comes to 2,000 rupees. You pay without a second thought. But what if the restaurant charged separately for everything? The table, the chair, the air conditioning, the lighting? You might reconsider dining there, right? Yet, the total cost remains the same. This is another example of mental accounting. We feel the pinch more when we're aware of the costs broken down into smaller parts. Money also often carries emotional value. We might hold on to the first salary we ever earned, or a note gifted by a loved one, even though its monetary value remains the same as any other note in our wallet. So, the next time you're about to splurge on that fancy gadget, remember, your brain might be playing tricks on you. It's not just a battle of needs and wants, it's a mind-boggling game of mental accounting. Will you let your brain win, or will you take control? The choice is yours. Ever noticed how a salary hike soon becomes the new normal and you're back to craving another one? Let's dive into the fascinating world of hedonic adaptation, a psychological phenomenon that explains this all too familiar cycle. Picture this. You've been eyeing that sleek, shiny new car for months. You've been counting pennies, saving diligently, and finally, the day arrives when you can afford it. The joy, the thrill, it's indescribable. But give it a few weeks or months, and suddenly the car doesn't seem as exciting anymore. It's just, well, your car. This is hedonic adaptation at work. Our brains are wired to adjust to new levels of wealth or income quickly. So, that salary increase you were eagerly awaiting, it soon becomes your new normal, and before you know it, you're back to craving another raise. It's a bit like running on a treadmill. You're working hard, you're moving, but you're not really getting anywhere. Let's call this the treadmill effect. Now, imagine if you were a hamster. Yes, a cute, fluffy hamster. You love running on your little wheel, don't you? But no matter how fast you run, the wheel keeps spinning, and you stay in the same place. That's exactly what happens with us humans when it comes to money. We keep running, keep earning, but our happiness stays put. It's a bit ironic, isn't it? But here's the kicker. Just like you can't tell a hamster to stop running, it's hard for us to resist the lure of more money. It's almost like we're programmed to keep wanting more. But remember, money is just a tool. It's not a magic ticket to happiness. So, the next time you find yourself dreaming about that next big purchase or salary hike, just remember our little hamster friend. Are you running because you love the run? Or are you just stuck on the wheel? So remember, running on the money treadmill might get you sweaty, but not necessarily happy. Ever been fooled into thinking that you're richer just because you have more zeros in your bank account? Welcome to the world of money illusions. A crafty trick our minds play on us, where we believe we are wealthier than we actually are. This tendency is quite common, and it's all about how we perceive money in nominal terms rather than real terms. Imagine this. You received a 10% pay hike this year. You're ecstatic thinking about all the things you can buy with that extra cash. But hold on a minute. What if inflation also rose by 10%? In real terms, your purchasing power hasn't increased at all, even though you're seeing more money in your account. This is the money illusion. Here's another example. You find a 100 rupee note in an old pair of jeans. You feel like you've struck gold, right? But what if I told you that 100 rupees today is worth less than it was 5 years ago? Again, you're a victim of the money illusion. This illusion is so powerful that it can even influence economic decisions on a large scale. Economies can be driven into recessions, and businesses can make unprofitable decisions, all thanks to this illusion. So, how can we avoid this trap? The first step is awareness. understand that money's worth is determined by its purchasing power and not by the number of zeros in your bank account. Secondly, always consider inflation when making financial decisions. This will give you a more accurate picture of your real wealth. Remember, it's essential to see money for what it truly is, a means to an end, not the end itself. Money is a tool that can help you achieve your goals, but only if you use it wisely and avoid falling for its illusions. So, next time you see those extra zeros in your bank account, don't rush to book that world tour just yet. Ever found it more comfortable to discuss your love life than your salary with your friends? Well, don't worry, you're not the only one. Welcome to the world of the money taboo. It's that awkward moment when the topic of money crops up and suddenly everyone starts looking at their shoes or finds an immense interest in the ceiling. This money taboo, my friends, is not a recent phenomenon. It has deep roots in our culture and society. Remember when we were kids and our parents would hush us up if we ever asked about someone's earnings, or those hushed whispers when the topic of dowry or inheritance would come up? Yes, that's right. The money taboo has been with us since time immemorial. Now, you might wonder why it matters. It's just a topic of conversation, right? But here's the catch. This reluctance to talk about money can impact our financial decisions. When we don't discuss money, we're less informed about financial matters. And when we're less informed, we're more likely to make mistakes. Imagine, for instance, you're at a job interview. The interviewer asks you about your salary expectations. If you've never discussed salaries with your peers, you might end up quoting a figure that's way below the industry standard. And there you go, you've just fallen into the money taboo trap. But it's not all doom and gloom, comedy to the rescue. Think about it. We've all seen those Bollywood movies where the hero with his trademark swagger says, "I earn so much that I don't even count." Or those hilarious stand-up comedy sketches about the rich uncle who flaunts his wealth. These are clever ways of highlighting the money taboo while adding a dash of humor. So folks, it's high time we broke this taboo. Let's start talking about money, not in hushed whispers, but openly. Let's get informed, make smart financial decisions, and chuckle at our past money taboo follies. So if you're finding it hard to confess your salary, remember, you're not alone in this money taboo trap. So, are you ready to beat your brain at its own money games? We've journeyed through the labyrinth of the mind, where money dwells in its mysterious ways. Let's take a moment to tie it all together, shall we? First off, we dove into the Money Mind-Boggler, where we realized that our brain doesn't always think logically when it comes to money. Like the time we bought that expensive coffee, even though we knew a cheaper one would taste just as good. That's our brain playing tricks on us, valuing the experience more than the price tag. Then we encountered the more is never enough phenomenon. Remember that? Our inherent desire for more can often lead us astray. It's like being on a treadmill, running towards more money, but never quite reaching satisfaction. It's important to remember that contentment comes not from having more, but from appreciating what we already have. We then delved into the power of money illusions. We learned that our perception of money isn't always accurate, like when we feel richer after getting a raise, even though inflation has eroded its value, or when we spend more with a credit card than cash because it doesn't feel like real money. In the money taboo trap, we uncovered the societal silence around money conversations. We discovered that talking about money isn't rude, but essential. It's through these discussions that we can learn from each other's successes and mistakes and make better financial decisions. Throughout this journey, we've laughed and learned, but most importantly, we've understood the importance of recognizing these psychological quirks. By acknowledging these mental money games, we can be smarter about our finances, making decisions that truly serve our best interests. And so, we wrap up our deep dive into the psychology of money. It's been a journey full of surprises, hasn't it? But remember, this is just the beginning. The real challenge is using this knowledge in our everyday lives. And remember, money can buy happiness, but only if you know how to spend it right.